Alrighty, guys, welcome to week 518 to 524. Small reminder, whenever we open the course, it's Monday through Sunday that you guys have to complete all the work. So you may be seeing this video on a different day. Remember that with the videos, I'll be kind of acting like Dora, kind of being like, all right, stop here and go ahead and complete reading the text. I'm going to pause for a few seconds to give you time to pause so that you can do the work on Canvas, but just make sure that you're not just like watching me pause awkwardly, all right? Okay, so this week's outline, we're going to be reading Orpheus and Eurydice. We're going to break down the text for the subject. We're going to view the picture that has something to do with Orpheus and Eurydice. We're going to break that down for its subject or common scene. And then we're going to be writing a comparison paragraph. The comparison paragraph is the end task that you'll give me that shows me that you understand what we have done this week. Now, this week I will say is a review on something we've already done earlier in the school year. And I will be talking about that throughout the lesson, but none of this stuff should be brand new or a surprise to you guys. This video is mainly for the purpose that if you have any troubles, you can kind of watch back and pause and rewind if you need to in order to get some clarification on some things, but you guys should be okay. All right. So the standard that we'll be covering today is, or this week, is 3.7, which is to analyze representation of a subject or key scene in two different artistic media, including what is emphasized or absent in each treatment. So that basically just means you're going to be looking at two different things. So media means like different ways. So one way is through text, one way is through movie, one way is through video, one way is through an audio recording. So different ways that we can get the scene or subject that we're looking at is how we've done it. So early in the year, one of the ways that we've done it is through script to movie. So we looked at Romeo and Juliet, the script, and then we watched the Romeo and Juliet movie, and then we watched the West Side Story movie, and then we read through The Myth with Pyramus and Thisbe. So we've already done this before, so that part shouldn't be confusing for you guys. The main reason why we're looking at this review is mainly for the analyzing the representation of. You guys know how to read a text, you guys know how to look at a picture or a movie at this point, but kind of analyzing and really looking at what's emphasized or absent in each treatment is the most important part of this, because that includes details, and that's going to be a part that you guys, if you miss it on, you may not get the answer completely right. So, I think that's about it for the standards. Again, we've done this before, so you guys should be good with the whole I know what to do in this one, and it'll look a bit more familiar once we get to the text and the picture. All right, skills necessary. So if you can't do these skills in the order that it's in, then you may have trouble with the mastery of the standard. So if you're looking down at this, the 5 things on this list, and you're like, I really get stuck on analyzing a picture, then you're probably good at reading the text, but you just need to work on getting the picture a little bit. So the good part is, sorry, there's sirens behind me. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So the good thing about doing this video and doing these online lessons is that you have the entire week. So instead of sitting in a course for 45 minutes and not being able to understand it, you can practice analyzing the picture as much as you need to. And you can also rewind and keep playing through the part later on where I'm going to be going through the picture. So just remember that you have those abilities. You don't just have to watch this once and then be done with it. If you're confused, go to that part of the presentation that you need help with. All right, so these are the skills you need necessary, kind of in order. You need to be able to read and break down a text for its subject. Now, remember that a subject is like, what is it about? So when we read Romeo and Juliet, obviously there's a lot of subjects, but say we were looking at, like early in the year, we're looking at the balcony scene and comparing it to a painting about the balcony. Obviously, the subject or the key scene there is the balcony scene. So if you're able to read the balcony scene and then tell me what is happening in the scene, then you're pretty good at that part. And then you're going to analyze the text. So what that means is detail. Analyzing is being able to tell me and then supporting it with detail. So say you want to say the balcony scene is represented as a happy, loving scene. Well, how would we know that? Analyze it. We're able to see that because of these details, because of the words that they're using, because they use such positive words such as this, 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 or this. That is the most important part with the details. You can't just go, well, the text is happy. You need to be able to prove that it's happy. How do you know that it's happy? That shouldn't be difficult, but a lot of you guys seem to be missing out on the detail portion. And sometimes with the multiple choice answers, this week we won't have any, but sometimes with multiple choice answers on a test, they'll have the same subject, but the detail for how they know that is different. And if you can't back it up with detail, you may not be able to tell me that that detail is the wrong one, and you may choose the wrong answer because of it. So the next one is analyzing a picture or painting. We've done this before, looking at the colors, looking at what's at the most forefront or the center or anything like that. But I'll give you guys a review once we get to the picture portion of this one. Then you're going to analyze it. Same thing. Don't just go, well, this picture is happy. Well, how do you know it's happy? What are the colors being used? What is the subject being represented as? Is it closer to the front of the picture? Is it farther to the back? Who's in the picture? That kind of stuff. And then at the very end of it, you just need to be able to write a paragraph. So if you can't write a paragraph, it's going to be hard for you to write a paragraph to show me that you understand these skills. So the paragraph is not like an academic essay or anything like that. I just want you to use a paragraph that has details. So long as you're able to do the top 4 things on the list, then you just have to put it into words and put it into sentences and turn that in at the end. Boop. All right. End goal, like I said, you'll be able to put all the bits and pieces of information in order to construct a paragraph. So if you have trouble analyzing a text, then you can't put that bits and pieces into the paragraph. If you have trouble analyzing a picture, you can't put that into a paragraph. So you need to make sure that you're able to do it. And like the last bullet point says, if you have any issues with any of the skills during the lesson, you won't be able to accurately complete the end objective. So if after watching this video and after looking through all your texts and all your lessons and everything that you still have confusion, remember that I have the weekly calls that you can be a part of, and I can walk you through it, and you can ask specific questions for this if you have any trouble. If you don't, then you're good. Okay, so at this point, you should have the Canvas open. Like, make sure you have Canvas open. Like I said, I'll be doing that whole Dora thing where I'm like, all right, now read your text, and I'll pause. Make sure you have the text open so you can be referencing it. If anything, just have me to one side and have the text to another side so that you can kind of be looking at everything as I'm explaining it. And then you can pause me whenever you need to so that you can continue doing the work. Remember, I am just here if you would like to have a video or audio person telling you how to do things and showing you how to do things. But just make sure to have it open. All right. So, well, there you go. Like I just said, make sure you have the text open so that you can follow along. I don't need to tell you guys how to read something, but I will be kind of reading through just about the first paragraph so that you can help, like, if I'm going to talk it out loud. So if you start looking at the text and you're like, I have no idea what this means, use some of the strategies that I'm using. Otherwise, you can just kind of stop here and read the text on your own if you want to. Okay. So, what is a subject? Subject is the subject is what they're talking about, what is taking place. So remember when we were looking at Medusa and looking at the painting of Medusa's head, both of the subject on both of these were Medusa, more specifically Medusa being killed, and her head getting chopped off. So we're looking at that in particular. As we read through the text, remember that you're trying to figure out what the subject is. The title can give it away, any subtitles can give it away, details can give it away, whatever. All right, so here is about the first paragraph of what you see on your Canvas. So I'm going to read it out loud. I'm going to kind of think through strategies out loud. So if you don't need my help in reading the text, just go ahead and pause me and read it on your own. If you have read it and you're like, oh, I'm having issues understanding this, you can just kind of listen to this and continue reading it on your own, and maybe just writing down notes on the side, maybe jotting some things down, some details so that you have them for later. Again, the more details and stuff that you jot down as we go through the lesson, the easier a paragraph will be because you're just putting all those details together. Okay. Orpheus and Eurydice by Ovid. This is a translated text into kind of more plain English, so we're not reading Ovid's original text at all. We've already done that earlier in the year. Okay. Veiled in a saffron mantle. In those first 5 words, you may already be confused. The great thing about working at home is you have Google if you need it. Don't rely too heavily on that, though. So if you're typing up every word and trying to figure out what it means. You're gonna have troubles when we go back to school, and then you can't just use Google whenever you have like you don't know what a word means. So just make sure that you're also using your context clues. So I kind of know what veiled means, like a veil. The whole purpose of a veil is to cover the face. So veiled in a saffron mantle. If I don't know what saffron mantle means, I'm just going to say, okay, something is hidden in a saffron mantle. Through the air unmeasured. Okay, so the air is being unmeasured. I may be confused, but I'm going to keep reading. Don't let yourself get stuck on the first few words of it. The rest of it may help you figure it out, and it may not be important, the first few words of whatever you're getting stuck on. After the strange wedding, okay, so there's a wedding, Hymen parted swiftly for the Ciconian land, regardless and not listening to the voice of tuneful Orpheus. So at this point, we seem to have two characters. Hymen, who is departing swiftly, so they're leaving for a different land, and they're not listening to Orpheus. Okay. Truly Hymen there was present during the festivities of Orpheus and Eurydice. Okay, so if there's a wedding and there's a guy, and we're talking about the festivities between Orpheus and Eurydice, we can probably assume that this is starting out in the wedding of Orpheus and Eurydice, and Hymen was there, but gave no happy omen, neither hollowed words nor joyful glances. Okay, so Hymen was there. Hymen was present during the festivities, so the wedding of Orpheus and Eurydice, but he did not say anything. So he didn't say anything hollowed, and he didn't give any joyful glances. And the torch he held would only sputter, fill the eyes with smoke, and cause no blaze while waving. So I don't know why he's holding a torch. So he's holding a torch, but it's not really going anything. He's not happy or sad. Okay, cool. These are just more details. The result of that sad wedding proved more terrible than such foreboding fates. So, okay, the result of that sad wedding. So, first it was a strange wedding. Now it was a sad wedding with a fate more terrible. So, I'm assuming something bad happened. While through the glass the lighted naiads wandered with the bride, a serpent struck its venom tooth in her soft ankle, and she died. Okay, that's a wild first paragraph of a story. So this last sentence just told us that while through the grass the lighted naiads wandered with the bride, so if we assume the bride is Eurydice, a serpent, a snake, struck its venom tooth in her soft ankle, and she died. Okay, so let's just look back at this paragraph. Again, if you have no trouble reading through the text and looking at the subject, you don't even need to be watching me right now. This is more for people who read the first sentence and just went, I don't know what's happening. So we know they're at a wedding. We know that Hymen has left for a different land, not listening to Orpheus. But Hymen was there during the wedding, so Hymen's leaving after the wedding. The wedding was of Orpheus and Eurydice, but it wasn't a happy wedding. It was a sad wedding because the bride died. So that's a pretty sad wedding. So again, I'm just kind of using an out loud thinking process to kind of help you guys like, okay, cool. I didn't understand every word in this. I'm not thinking every word in this is necessarily important, but I'm reading through the words that I do understand and using that to help me understand the rest of it. I don't want you guys to get stuck on every single word. Sometimes I see you guys like kind of giving up if you guys don't know a word. So in the first 5 words, some of you guys may have given up trying to understand it. Keep reading through it. Keep reading through and try to identify words that you do know so that you can put it together. So after this whole paragraph, my summary of it is like a few words long. There was a wedding between Orpheus and Eurydice. It was sad. Eurydice died. There you go. Now this paragraph uses way more words, and those words may be important, but let's continue reading. So, okay. Remember that as you read, your goal is to find the subject that the text is discussing. So don't just stop at the first paragraph, but look through the whole text and go, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. What I would recommend is you just writing a note to yourself, a few words on the side, after every paragraph that you read. So in the first paragraph, there was a wedding with Orpheus and Eurydice. Eurydice died. Boom. Now I'm going to keep reading the next few paragraphs. Then, after I read the whole thing, I'm going to look at my translation of it and go, this is what happened beginning to end. Once I know what happened beginning to end, I can kind of try to think of the subject and then look at the details that surround that subject. If you can't pinpoint the exact subject just yet, that's okay, because once you look at the picture, you'll be able to see, okay, this is the commonality between the two of them, this is the subject. But if you don't know what's happening in the text yet, that'll be the first skill that you need to be able to go past in order to analyze it. So at this point, pause me and finish reading the text. Give you guys a few seconds to pause it. All right. So now, at this point, if you're continuing to play this, you should have already read the text. You should be able to know what's happening in the story. You should have some details. So if you aren't exactly sure of the subject just yet, you should know what is happening in the text. When we look at the picture, we'll identify what is this common scene or subject that we're seeing, and then we'll pause a little bit, make sure we understand the text fully. Because if we don't understand the text fully, we're going to be guessing what's happening in the picture. So we'll look at the picture, go, aha, this is what is being depicted. Go back to the text, get those details from the text that have to do with the picture, and then keep looking at the picture. And the reason why I'm saying that is whenever you see a picture, we project our own images and details onto the picture. So if we don't know the original story, we're going to go, well, this is a picture of da da da. But if you look through the text first, you can identify exactly who is in the picture, what is happening in the picture without you having to guess too much. And that'll help us with the paragraph. I apologize if I have just confused anyone, but to put it in simpler terms, you've read the text. You should be able to tell me what happened in it at least. Now let's look at the picture. So you also have this picture on your canvas if you want to look at it and zoom in and all that kind of stuff too. But in here, okay, first on the left-hand side, we can kind of see a girl being picked up and taken away. She's reaching out to someone else. That guy is also reaching out towards her. In the background, we kind of see some light. Otherwise, it's kind of dark. There's a guy in the background. They're standing on a path. Okay, cool. The first thing that may pop out to you guys, and again, this is kind of a think aloud. Some of you guys may already know how to analyze a picture without needing my help. The first thing that pops out to me is the people. Then it's the light in the back. So they're walking on some sort of path. We can see that. And then she's being taken away from him, and there's a light in the back. So if you've read the text, you know that she died at their wedding. She went to the underworld, so we can kind of assume this is like ancient Greek gods and stuff like that. She went to the underworld. He asked them if he can go down and get her. The main stipulation of him going down and getting her is that he can't look back at her while they're walking through to the other world. So you can kind of see in the picture the bright lights in the window in the back is probably the real world. The darkness that they're in is the underworld. And the only reason I'm able to know this is because I read the story and I kind of know what's happening in the story, so I'm placing that in this picture. But if you didn't understand the story, you may not know what the thing in the back is, or what the path there is, or who these people are. So the girl being pulled away is Eurydice. Now this is a picture of a play. So if you're like, who's the guy taking her away though? Just remember that in the real world, our real world, there's not really a way for us to just yank someone back like invisibly. So that is the force that's taking her back. The guy reaching out for her is Orpheus, so he's reaching out for Eurydice. They're in the underworld. We can safely assume the guy in the back is probably just a narrator, because who else is reading the play or reading the story of this? So that's what I kind of see with this. Now, I want to be able to pick out more details. So I know the scene. I can compare it to the text. But is there other things that I'm seeing here, or other things that I read in the text that's not in this picture? So that requires you to be able to analyze the text a bit more and go, well, in this scene, they also showed this, or in this scene, they also showed this. So you want to become kind of able to look at both of them and be able to see, okay, well, the text emphasizes this and it's absent in the picture. Both of them have this, one of them have this. So if you want to think about it in simpler terms, you're writing a compare and contrast paragraph, sorry, not essay. That is a taboo word. You're writing a paragraph that compares and contrasts. So you look at the scene in the text, and you compare it to the picture. What is different? What is the same? And then you're going to be able to tell me, when they changed things, how did that change the representation of the subject? So we'll kind of be looking at that in the paragraph. All right. So remember that our end goal is to compare and contrast. So like I just said, if you don't want to think about an emphasizing or absent or just compare and contrast. That's a pretty simple way to think about it, because that's really what we're looking at. If it's the same, that thing is being emphasized. If it's different, that thing is absent in one of them, and be able to tell me like why it's different and how does that change our understanding of it. And once you have all these details, so you took details from the text, you took details from the picture, now you're going to put it all together. So this is the ticket for your exit ticket. These are the questions to help guide you. What is being emphasized in the picture that is absent from the poem? So the text that we read, what is not in the text but in the picture? So you really can look at like, what can you literally see in the text? Do they describe the brightness of the real world? Do they describe how dark it is? Do they describe like the disparity and like her being desperate to reach towards him and him reaching towards her? If they don't show that, that is something that you can write down, because one of the more obvious things about looking at a picture rather than looking at a text is in the picture we can literally see what's happening. So if we can see bright lights but they don't mention that in the text, then write that. That is something that's emphasized. The darkness and the comparison to the picture, like we can see that in the picture and we can't in the text. So that is totally something you can put in there. How does that affect the meaning of the picture? So if we see the picture and we see the lights in the picture, how does that affect our understanding of that common scene of Eurydice being taken away? How does that affect the meaning of that scene? And then what is the common subject between the two mediums? So what is the common scene? Describe that scene. Now this should be at least 3 to 5 sentences of you answering the questions and then using detail from the text or the picture to back it up. The more details you put in, the more I'm able to see like how well you understand everything. So if you only use like 2 sentences, you maybe could have answered the question, but you didn't really show me that you know how to prove your answer through textual evidence. So just make sure you're looking at all that. All right, but that is about it for this week. So again, you can rewind the video, you can keep watching it, you can just not watch it at all, I guess, if you didn't watch it. Sorry. You can also, if you still have trouble after this, like say you still don't understand the text, because I only read through the first paragraph with you, then just make sure to come to my Monday, Wednesday, or Friday Big Blue Button sessions so that you can kind of ask me some one-on-one questions if you need to. We can walk through the text. Look through the skills though. So if you're still having issues with this, look at what skill you're getting stuck on. Is it you're getting stuck on just reading the text? Okay, we can work on that. That's context clues. That's making sure you understand what's happening. If you're getting stuck on finding details from the text, we can totally work on that too. But make sure you know what you're getting stuck on. Don't just come and be like, I don't know. I don't get it. Well, what part don't you get? Do you not get the exit ticket? Do you not get the picture? Make sure you know what your struggle is with the skills, and then we can work through that. If it's everything, we can also work through that. But understanding where you may be having issues is really important to making sure you understand how to write this exit ticket. This exit ticket is due by Sunday at 11:59, so just make sure to write that in paragraph form, turn it in on Canvas, and then that'll be it. Alrighty. If you guys have any other questions, please make sure to message me, email me, text me on Remind, join the Big Blue Button calls, whatever you need to do, get your information from me. Alrighty. Bye.